Your information station, WTIM.
Good morning. You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show, which is brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining me in this segment, just across the way from me, is Tim Sutton. Tim is a guardian with Land of Lincoln Honor Flight. Tim, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, is this your first time on the show?
It is.
Well, pleasure to have you. Pleasure to talk about Land of Lincoln Honor Flight. I know a little bit about it, just a little bit of the background on it, and that's what we have you in studio to be able to talk about. Tell me about Land of Lincoln Honor Flight, what it involves, what it takes, kind of behind the scenes, and just maybe even when it started and what we're setting out to do.
It has been going on for quite a while. I don't know the exact data when it started. When it did start, basically they wanted to honor the World War II veterans and the Korean veterans. Well, as we all know, the World War II veterans are fewer and fewer every day. So now they've opened that flight up to also your Korea or their Vietnam era veterans. So anybody that's a veteran in that era can go online and sign up through the Lincoln Land Honor Flight. One prerequisite is you must have a guardian, who I am and was on my flight. Very easy process for a veteran. It is a free flight, free day for you to experience all the war memorials in Washington, D.C. For a guardian, for me, it was a $600 fee, which was, to me, a bargain to take a veteran on a flight to honor him and to allow him to see all these great memorials that we do have in Washington, D.C.
And so when it comes to the various war memorials, the flight and everything, if I remember correctly, that takes care of just one day. It's over the span of a 24-hour period.
It is a long day. Yes, it is. For me personally, I got up at 2:00 in the morning, got myself ready, picked up my veteran at 3:00 in the morning. We had to be at the Springfield airport and checked in by 4:00 to get all of our shirts, T-shirts. Each T-shirt represents what era you represent. For instance, the Korean veterans wore yellow T-shirts with yellow caps. The Vietnam veterans wore red T-shirts with red caps. And me as a guardian, I wore green T-shirts with green caps. They brief you on how the day is going to be and what all you're going to see. The plane took off at 6:00 in the morning, and then we landed there at Virginia, which is across the Potomac from Washington, D.C. Very, very exciting when we landed. You land. As you turn off the runway into the tarmac where you're going to deboard the plane, two huge fire trucks with water cannons were shooting over the plane. So that was kind of emotional for these veterans to see that they do care about them very much. As we got off the plane, there's 170 veterans and 170 guardians, so it took a little while. Once we got off the plane and we entered the area in the airport, the airport announced that the veterans were here for an honor flight. Everyone in the airport stood and clapped the entire time until all of us were out of the area. There was no luggage, of course. As a guardian, the only thing we had was backpacks. My job was to carry everything for that veteran for that day, whether it was going to be an umbrella, a jacket, bottle of water, or whatever it is, because this is all about them. So we were there to make sure it was a pleasant day for them.
And it sounds like a grandiose day. You get the fire trucks out, you get the water cannons shooting over, putting an emphasis on you are loved, you are respected, and what you did is also respected. Very cool kind of early start to the morning.
What a way to start the day. Absolutely.
What a way to start the day. When I land at O'Hare or other things, I don't generally get a water cannon. So just adding to the magnitude, I guess, of what we're really trying to set out and accomplish with these. You spoke a little bit to the veterans experience. It's free for the veteran, $600 for that guardian fee. What did you see with your particular experience with the honor flight, the veterans experience, and how that was, just the emotions of it and whatever the case might be? How was that from your end and from your point of view?
Oh, very much so. These are some very proud people, obviously. And each time you go to a memorial, it touched them in a special way. If you're a Korean memorial, you knew some World War II veterans. So we started the day, we went to the World War II memorial first. And if you're going to go, please do a little research, because just looking at a memorial doesn't tell the whole story. We're standing there looking at the World War II memorial. There's 4,048 gold stars on a wall. If you don't know what that means, each star represents 100 soldiers who died in World War II. So we started the day there, and then we went to the Lincoln Memorial, and everybody says, well, why the Lincoln Memorial? That's not really a battle memorial, but he was the president during our great Civil War. And you go up on the Lincoln Memorial, and each side of him is his inaugural address to his presidency. You move down from there, then we went to the Korean Memorial, and the Korean Memorial really touched a lot of them because some of these guys were from that Korean War that they did serve. A little history about the Korean Memorial as well is the designer wanted to have 38 soldiers, and they said, oh, wow, that's way too many. So he thought about this more and more, and he decided to put up a wall, if you will, and on that wall are true inscriptions of people that were in the Korean battle, locations, but the key is to he was allowed to have 19 7'2" soldier statues reflecting on a wall made 38. Now, why 38? Korea's on the 38th parallel. So each one of those tells a big story, and it was very moving for those veterans there. Across the way, not very far, maybe a block's walk, is the Vietnam Memorial. 58,000 names on that wall. You'd see veterans go up to that wall, find guys that they'd served with and who have died, and they take a pencil and a piece of paper and etch their name. So that to me was quite moving. Still chokes me up. Just can't say enough about these people. All from the Vietnam Memorial, there is a memorial to the Vietnam women. Most of them were nurses in Vietnam. There are 8 yellow trees around the memorial. If you're not doing a little research, what does that mean? During Vietnam, we lost 8 nurses in battle. So those trees represent them. You have the Faces of Honor. There's 3 statues of Vietnam soldiers standing there. Kind of shows and depicts what they went through their faces. You can see through their faces kind of horror of what battle meant to them. So that area alone was very moving. That whole area was very moving. And it took some time for us to go through. They keep you on a very tight schedule because obviously you can't spend a lot of time there. We've got one day to see all these great memorials. And so it's hustle, hustle, hustle. From there, we got on back on our buses. We had 4 bus loads of veterans and guardians. We went to the Air Force Memorial. It's relatively new. It's very neat if you've served in the Air Force. From there, we went to the Aviation Museum, where we spent quite a bit of time because inside the Aviation Museum, you get to see the Enola Gay, you got to see the Discovery Shuttle, and of course, about every airplane, and from the beginning of time to current, all kinds of aircraft there. Very, very neat to walk up and see some of that stuff, history as it is right there in itself. We weren't sure we was going to have enough time because we were running a little bit late. But the last memorial we saw for the day was the Marines Memorial, or the Iwo Jima Memorial. Interesting story behind that memorial is there are 6 soldiers on that memorial. Of the 6, 3 of them were misidentified for a very long time. They had the right names of 2 of the 3, but they had them in the wrong sequence of order in the memorial that you see. As the story goes, one of those soldiers was basically on his deathbed, and he told his daughter that I'm on that memorial. He goes, no, Dad, you're not. He goes, these are the 6. He goes, no, that's me up there. So it provoked them to do a little more research. They did facial recognition, found out this gentleman truly is one of the soldiers on the memorial. So they got that corrected. They got all the names correct now, and it's a very impressive memorial. One tidbit of history I'll share with everybody, a trivia question, basically, you can think about before the show is over. There are 3 locations in the United States. Let me rephrase that. There are 3 locations that the flag never goes half-mast. Where are those 3 locations? A little history we learned on the buses that we were in. Some of them got it right. Most of us got it wrong. The last one's a tricky one. So 2 of them you might figure out, but the last one's pretty tricky.
I was going to say, I'm going to spare myself the embarrassment of throwing it out there. I have a couple guesses, maybe. one of which maybe being Arlington Cemetery, but I'm not for sure on that. So,
That is not correct.
well, and that's why we are not going. That's why we didn't go through the slew of other things.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because we did get to go see the changing of the guard. The buses drove the servicemen right up to the changing of the guard. We got off the bus. We had to wait in line because obviously there's other people there that want to see the changing of the guard. So we had about 10 minutes. And as the veterans, we had about 40 of them in wheelchairs. The rest of us were walking. Group of young kids, school-age kids, saw these veterans. And as they walked by, they would high-fiving, shaking hands, wanting to talk to them. And our main guardian guy that was in charge said, "We don't have time. We got to go. So we hustled by, but they high-fived every one of them coming through. They got them in position. They told us that nothing happens at the changing of the guard with somebody not knowing what's going on. They know you're coming. They know you're here. They would love to stop and salute you, but they cannot. But if anybody's ever been there, they know that when the guard does his 21 steps, he stops, clicks his heels, reverses position, goes back the other way, and does another one, 21 steps, and there's 21 seconds in between each time he makes that walk. They said he will stop, click his heels, drag his foot to make a scraping sound on that granite, and that is recognition that he knows you're here. So that was pretty neat there as well. The Arlington Cemetery itself, when we pulled up, there was a flag at half-mast. So we asked, why is there a flag at half-mast today? What's going on? Every time there's a burial at Arlington Cemetery, the flag goes to half-mast. As soon as the service is over, it goes back to full-mast. While we were there, we weren't there very long. We were only there for maybe 35 minutes. The flag went down 3 times. So that was pretty neat in itself, watching that. And then after the service of the change of the guard, on the back side of the memorial is Audie Murphy's headstone. And if you don't know, Audie Murphy was probably the most decorated veteran the country's ever seen. Congressional Medal of Honor and numerous other medals along with it. So very moving too to watch those. And they do it 24/7, 365 since I think 1932 maybe. I think there's been a guard on duty. A hurricane or a bad storm was coming through Washington, D.C. a few years back, and they told them, said, "Listen, this is a terrible storm. If you don't want to guard it, we understand." They said, "Absolutely not. We're going to guard."
And carrying that tradition on, not letting that lapse happen. Now it stands as a test of time, and like, all right, are you going to be the guy that says no for the storm? I don't think so. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you sharing all the different stops, all the different background. Goes back to that thing at the start where let's learn a little bit before we get out there, so we know not only the semblance and the different things that take place, but also just the history behind it. So very much appreciate the in-depth and the background on it. We're going to take our first break here. We're speaking with Tim Sutton, guardian with the Lincoln land of Lincoln, honor flights that take place, one of which not too long ago. More are on the way, and more is on the way of the WTIM Morning Show with Tim Sutton when we return. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check the markets now. The RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn higher, beans lower, wheat trading higher. May corn up 8, 468.5. July corn up 7, 477.25. December new crop 447 up 2.5. May beans down 5 3/4, 1035.25. July beans 1045 down 7 3/4. New crop November 1019.5 down 5 3/4. May Chicago wheat 517 up 11 1/4. July wheat up 10.5, 536. May bean meal 291.70 up $1.20. May bean oil down 56 cents, 48.29. Livestock market, May feeders down $1.60, 292.42. April live cattle down a dime, 216.25. May lean hogs 92.02 down 52 cents. Energy market, June crude oil 59.54 down 88 cents. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Radio gets results.
Miller Media Group Advertising works for Taylorville Estates. Here's Administrator Tony Clark.
In the past year, we have doubled our census. So that's been impacted mainly by the radio advertising. That is where we do the majority of our advertising, and our census definitely shows that it works. They lead us in the right direction for the season changing, and they anticipate our upcoming needs before we even have to tell them what they are. We've had consistent growth over the past 12 months. Like I said, we've doubled in our census, and that's been the first time in 43 months since prior to COVID that we've gotten to where now we have a waiting list for people to come. So advertising on the radio really does have an impact.
Gets results.
Darren Seaton here, new manager at Taylorville Home Source, your local design center. With some information you may not know, we can complete your bathroom design with vanity and cabinets and a shower system with Onyx, or the new tile vinyl plank flooring. We have our own in-house installer with many years of experience, plus several contractors to help with the remodel. See me, Darren Seaton, at your local design center at Taylorville Home Source.
CNB Bank and Trust has been helping open doors for Central Illinois farmers since 1854. Find out why they're among Illinois' top ag lenders by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Bob Reddings of the Bob Reddings family of dealerships. See our huge inventory of about 2,000 vehicles by clicking on our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining me in this segment is Tim Sutton. Tim is a guardian with the Land of Lincoln Honor Flights, one of which was just taking place not too terribly long ago. Tim was filling us in on the different stops, what takes place and what the veterans' experience is, what the guardians' experience is, and a little background on the honor flight. Let's talk how to get involved. Let's talk how to be a part of this great deal. Where do you want to take me with that? Just how to get involved.
You go online, Land of Lincoln Honor Flight. There's applications there for veterans. You got to start there first. And once the veteran is application has been accepted, and I've never known one not to be accepted, you find your guardian, which would be somebody like me, or I was just happened to be a friend of my veteran, and that's how I got involved. And, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's your brother, your mom, anybody that served. I would tell you, please do this, because what an honor for our veterans.
And what really what an honor for you too, to be able to be a part of that day for your veteran, but also just as a collective there too. To me, that $600 fee, that's whatever.
It was absolutely nothing. You're right. I didn't serve, but I have all the respect in the world to all of our veterans that did serve. So what can I do for them to show my gratitude back to them for what they've done for us?
And to do it for a friend, to do it for a family member. I mean, if your father's still around and able to do that for him, to me, that's probably really no price tag too big to be able to do that. And so landoflincolnhonorflight.com.
Yes.
Is the way to get involved with that. You do need a guardian to be on the flight with you. Find somebody that could be family, friend, whatever the case might be. Getting involved is pretty simple.
Very simple. Very painless.
Very painless.
Very painless.
Tim, I appreciate you sharing the personal side of it. And with less than a minute to go here, is there anything else that you want to tell us about the Land of Lincoln Honor Flight? Anything else that kind of strikes a chord with you now?
I tell you, one of the most moving was when we landed back in Springfield, 10 o'clock at night. Very long day for these veterans. If you've ever been to Springfield Airport, you couldn't move in that airport. There was a path for the veterans to pass through, and 1,000 people, I would guess, if not more, were there to greet these veterans back home. And that was their word, welcome home. Welcome home.
And for some of those veterans, specifically Vietnam veterans, that treatment might not have been the treatment they received years ago. To get that and to have that kind of come off the shoulders.
Absolutely. Yeah. They were called a lot of names back then. They weren't welcome back home. But you saw a lot of people want to shake their hands, wanting to greet them. Very moving.
I'm sure. Landoflincolnhonorflight.com. Tim, thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
And very nice to be had. And so I'm hoping that we'll get to talk more Land of Lincoln Honor Flight here in the coming months. landoflincolnhonorflight.com. That's how you get your start. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Now, Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W298 CD Shelbyville, 107.9 W300 EH Payne and Nokomis.
% January through March, the first such decline in 3 years. President Trump says the U.S. economy is still struggling to overcome the negative impact of Biden economic policies. And Mr. Trump says we haven't seen anything yet. He's marking the first 100 days of his second term. Held a campaign-style rally last evening in Warren, Michigan.
The president declared the start of his second term has been consequential.
In 100 days, we have delivered the most profound change in Washington in nearly 100 years.
He focused a great deal on immigration and border security.
We have achieved the most secure border in American history.
The president also touted his economic policies, even though polls show Americans are worried that the Trump tariffs will lead to higher prices. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee says some industries may need temporary relief during the Trump tariff transition.
Senator Blackburn says she supports the president's strategy.
President Trump is using tariffs to get people to the negotiating table.
In the short run, however, Blackburn says the battle poses a threat to vital supply chains for industries in her state.
Several areas that are going to need some type temporary relief.
Blackburn says the goal of the president's tariffs is to reinvigorate U.S. manufacturing, bolster the economy, create higher paying jobs, and eventually lower the cost of living. Bob Agnew reporting.
Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan has been suspended by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, facing federal charges. She's accused of helping a man evade immigration authorities. And on Wall Street, the Dow is down 365 points. NASDAQ is off 286. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
They told us nothing but lies.
These timeshare thieves out there are terrible.
They bullied us.
Our timeshare is all a scam.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
I was completely taken advantage of.
Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder and CEO of Wesley Financial Group, and I know the tough spot you're in. Are you asking yourself, why did I buy that timeshare? I'll tell you why, because that presentation wasn't a normal sales pitch. It was a show to convince you that timeshare is a great investment. They told you it was available today and today only. They said you're foolish if you don't buy. And unfortunately, you believed them. We get over 3,000 complaints a week from folks just like you.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information.
WTIM, your information station. With them in just one moment. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Two hours on Saturdays.
CF Taylorville, 107.
More information on Lincoln Land Community College. Moving now to old Francis A. Stewart of cremation rights have been accorded. Thanks.